Hello, I'm the official name rater. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. Today, we're looking at Galarian Farfetch'd and Sirfetch'd. We've already covered Kanto Farfetch'd. If you want to look at that, that's a standalone episode. You can check the playlist. You could probably just, here, let's do it right now. If you type in Farfetch'd nicknames, I'm like down here, but I'm still there, baby. Alright, so we're going to have a very, very obvious motif going forward. And, I don't know, I guess it's just... we see this often, and it just doesn't tickle me in any way. So just know that my lack of enthusiasm is partly due to fatigue from seeing the same shit over and over again. And also just never really struck my fancy anyway. Excalibur, 99% sure we saw this recently with just Corviknight. It's totally fine here. Probably better here because, you know, the pokey bit. But an idea, Lancelot, I've also seen leaks a lot before. I just don't really care for that. That's another one. I remember that one from the Gallade episode. Arthur is a fucking aardvark. Fuck your King Arthur. Galhan's another doofus idiot knight. Lady Fetch literally sounds like something the Tumblr idiot would come up with. Fuck you. Leave the name alone. You don't need to fucking worry about it. I'm a little confused about McBain. I'm gonna go ahead and put money and say maybe it's probably referencing the Simpsons character McBain. Like, you know, what was his name? Rainier Wolfcastle in that little parody of action movie stars. But I feel like if you're gonna do McBain, you'd probably want to put that on like Machamp. So I'm not sure what we're going with here. The only other thing on this list that I feel like highlighting, which honestly I'm not even caring about, I'm just saying it for the sake of trivia, is just Musashi, which is like, I don't remember which one. But in Japanese, Jesse and James are named after like samurais, and it's like Musashi and something else with an M name. So, yeah, there you go. This is some samurai doofus. Look, there's leaks a lot. And there's Erdrick for Dragon Quest. I don't care about Dragon Quest. There's two little fun random tangents we can get on. Both of these I remember being talked about in speculations when the whole expert Galar leaks were coming out. Like Sirfetch'd was the one that everyone was gravitating towards and was talked about all the time. And then I remember also when it came to Smash DLC, Erdrick was a common thing too. Zoro, if you want a different sword boy. I'm going to acknowledge this one just because it's Game of Thrones. Again, I couldn't get into Game of Thrones, but I know it's popular with you losers, so there you go. If it strikes your fancy, there is an idea for you. And talking more on legacy nicknames, Dux was the choice for the in-game trade version of Farfetch'd in red and blue. And a lot of people still, like, gravitate towards that, and I've seen in the past countless times when Sirfetch'd is brought up, Sir Dux or Dux-a-lot or something like that. So just know that's a thing. I wanted to fact check this just because I want to make sure the name was right. I do remember the scrapped Farfetch'd evolution we could have had in Gold and Silver, and yeah, I just want to make sure the name is right. It is in fact Madame or Madamu or whatever. So this is what we could have had back in Gold and Silver if they let Farfetch'd evolve. And considering this thread is for a female Sirfetch'd, I think if you really want to lean into the fact that, oh, it has to be a girl, it has to have a girl's name bullshit, then this is the one for you. And also, just throwing it out there real quick, they decided to name it Madame, and it's the Farfetch'd evolution. Let's check Farfetch'd real quick. That is a 50-50% ratio. So, none of that bullshit be like, oh, well, how come C King, but no C Queen? Because you can see yourself out my fucking door. And just for the sake of it, Morgan Leak Faye, which is really grasping, but you're trying to make a pun. Herfetch'd. That's a funny variant, just saying. It's better than Lady Fetch'd. It's like the Herbo instead of Himbo, you know? Herbo. I just realized what I said. I'm really focused on Funyuns real quick. Like, I get it. It just was not what I was expecting. And I don't know why this thing, like, brought it to my attention, but it made me think. I remember also when Sirfetch'd came out, everyone was weebing over its Japanese name, which is basically Giga Onion Knight. Just in case you didn't know that. Why? I don't. Okay. Why are we using Excalibur but spelling it with eggs? Where's the egg? Because he's a bird? Is that where the joke is? Oh, good God! Oh, I just threw up in my mouth. Hold on. Sorry, we don't need to look at this. This predates. This says 2016. Okay, good. Yeah, we don't gotta look at this cancer. Thank fuck. This is all we got right here for Sirfetch'd as far as this page, and it's in reference to B, which I don't know. Like, I own Shield. I haven't played Sword, but to me, when I think of B, my first thought goes to Grapple Locked before Sirfetch'd. And like maybe it's different if you own Sword. Again, I don't. But it's certainly the thing that she relies on in the anime. So it's just where my mind goes to. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying for me, I would choose Grapple Locked if I'm referencing B first. That's that though. We looked through Google. I'm gonna say it really wasn't beaten to death. We saw some things, but nothing that I felt was significant. Like, to me, I think the most interesting and memorable part was just Madame, and that was about it. I didn't write anything down. Okay, so before I go over the things I have written down that Google didn't, let's go over a comment suggestion real quick. Onion Knight, Final Fantasy reference. Is that real? It's gotta be real. Calic wouldn't lie to me. Excalibur, we already saw that. Absurd, and then you see how he puts S-I-R-D. So, if you want a different pun, and I also want to point out the campsite also leans into the same Excalibur shit that all of you guys are. So, just know, Game 3 freaks paying attention, they're listening to you for a change, I guess. So, my ideas were completely unrelated entirely. This first one I just have written down, and I don't honestly think this one I came up with. I just don't feel like that's the kind of thing I would think of. But I have kendo written down, and I know that's like referring to like a kendo stick. And like me, I think of wrestling, but I mean that's also a tool used in martial arts. And Sirfetch'd has the stick that he does to poke. So I think it's also considered a fighting style too. So that's what I have written down. But as far as two others, I have Armos from Zelda, and another one, Odalwa from Majora's Mask. Personally, I'm siding with Odalwa. They both got the leafy style, you know, organic. That's a good word for it. Organic sword and shield. Was his sword really organic? I don't remember. His shield, he is a leaf boy, alright? He does the dance. He does the funny noises. It sounds like he's saying Nicaragua. And, you know, why not? So to me, Odal was the thing. I'm probably going to lean in. It was what, I want to say I came up with it. 99% sure I drew the connection. Because I remember, like, texting my brother and be like, oh, this would be a good idea. And then I went to write it down on my notes and saw it was already written down. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm an idiot. So I'm probably just going to do Odalwa. But Armos is an idea, but I think Armos could be better. Because Armos is usually portrayed very, first off, as a rock, but more tightly compact with like short appendages rather than extensive limbs, if that makes sense. That's that. Any ideas and suggestions you have, feel free to put in the comments below. Give a thumbs up to the ones you think are good. Let us know what you'd use, what you'd recommend. I truly think it's so fascinating and so sad. And here's the thing though, even though we see the evidence of the scrapped Pokemon from Gold and Silver, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Do you know how much Pokemon that they get rid of and create on a regular basis? It's insane. Apparently, there was at least 300 scrapped Pokemon from Sword and Shield, and most of it was just because we've already done it before.